Arabia is the world's largest producer of desalinated water.
Mount Sinai, also known as Mount Moses, is one of the most well-known mountains in the world. Although it isn't the highest mountain in the world, it holds a special place in the hearts of believers of the three major monotheistic faiths of the world: Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. Not only is Mount Sinai famous among tourists, it also attracts skeptics and scientists who have produced unexpected discoveries. In this video, we present the astonishing discoveries uncovered by scientists on Mount Sinai. Let's begin. Mount Sinai is widely known as the hosting point on Israel's exodus from Egypt, although its current location is strongly debated amongst academics who have proposed a variety of potential places. Even scientists have given their thoughts on the subject, and they're not all the same. The most popular place to see Mount Sinai today is a huge granite peak that rises 2,285 meters above sea level in the south-central part of the Sinai Peninsula, which is between Israel and Egypt. Mount Everest, on the other hand, is 8,850 meters high. Even though scholars disagree on the exact path the Israelites took when they left Egypt, this place has been accepted as the actual site for a long time by many scholars from the three major faith traditions, including Jews, Christians, and Muslims. The scholars and hermits have been coming to this place for thousands of years. Eusebius of Caesarea, who lived in the 4th century AD, and Algeria, who lived from 381 to 384 AD, are the first people who are known to have been there. The Doubting Thomas Research Foundation, a group of biblical archaeologists, says it has found the real mountain where, according to the Old Testament, Moses led the Israelites through smoke, fire, and thunder, and where God gave Moses the 10 Commandments at the top. But the society now says that Jabal Maqla, which is in the Jabal al-Lawz mountain range in the northwest of Saudi Arabia, is Mount Sinai, which is one of the most holy places in the Jewish, Christian, and Islamic religions. One of the main reasons why some scholars say the Exodus is a myth is that little to no proof of what the Bible says has been found at the traditional Mount Sinai in Egypt's Sinai Peninsula. Middle East expert and foundation president Ryan Morrow told The Sun. But what if these experts were looking in the wrong place? He asked. If you go to the Arabian Peninsula, you will find very convincing proof that the Bible is true. Jabal Maqla has black peaks that look like they were burned by the sun or fire. It is near Nuweiba Beach, where scientists have found land paths under the water. This is where God would have parted the water for Moses and the Israelites. Even though Egyptians in chariots were following them, when the Israelites got to the other side of the water, the sea ate the Egyptians. Dr. Lennart Moller, a Swedish scientist, said that a shape like a chariot was found in coral in the area. He told the outlet that the metal and wood had long since broken down. On the way from the beach to what might be Mount Sinai, there is a large broken rock that shows signs of water erosion, even though it is in the middle of a desert. We think this clear landmark could be the rock that God told Moses to hit, and from which water miraculously came pouring out to help the Israelites, said Morrow. The experts also found what looked like an altar near the base of the mountain. This was similar to the altar that Moses is said to have built from uncut stones at the base of Mount Sinai. Also nearby is a graveyard, which Morrow thinks is where Moses killed the people who worshipped the golden calf because it was an idol. There are pictures of people worshipping bulls and cows all over this site near the mountain, Morrow told The Sun. What's really important is that these rock carvings are only found in this area. They aren't carved into every part of the mountain. Even though the Bible's reliability is still a mystery, many people are still trying to find a balance between what the Bible says and what really happened. For example, the Holy Mount Sinai has been called by that name in many places, such as the Sinai Peninsula, the Negev Desert, and Jordan. The Exodus story tells about every step of the trip from Egypt to Mount Sinai, through 40 years of wandering in the desert, to Joshua's promised land. Some versions of these places have led to the conclusion that the mountain is on the peninsula of Egypt, but mapping out biblical places makes it clear that Mount Sinai is most likely in Arabia. The research on the Mountain of Moses. The Doubting Thomas Research Foundation made a documentary about how the real Mount Sinai, or the Mountain of Moses, is in Saudi Arabia. The Foundation's researchers have also shown that the real Mount Sinai is in the Saudi kingdom. The documentary shows on a map and talks about how all the places in the Bible match up with places in Saudi Arabia. In Deuteronomy chapter 1 verse 2 it says, "It took 11 days to get from Mount Sinai to Kadesh by way of Mount Seir." Many Bible maps show Kadesh where Tel El-Qudarat is now. According to research done by the Doubting Thomas Research Foundation, remember that Deuteronomy chapter 1 says it takes 11 days to get to Kadesh Barnea from Mount Sinai via Mount Seir. From Jabal Maqla to Petra, the distance is about 118 miles, or 188 kilometers as the crow flies. On the other hand, it is almost 250 kilometers, or 154 miles, from the traditional site in the southern Sinai Peninsula. Not only is this site farther away, but it is also in the middle of the wilderness, and farther from any old roads than Jabal Maqla, as the ancient city of Midian is a short distance from this mountain. Because of this, the trip would have taken even longer than usual. But even if Kadesh Barnea is found at Tel El-Qudarat, which is where it is today, an Arabian Mount Sinai is not necessarily impossible. There are 268 kilometers, or 166 miles, between Jabal Maqla and Tel El-Qudarat. Yes, it's farther away, but it's not impossible. Based on what we've learned so far, we think that Kadesh Barnea was very close to Petra. The amount of time that has passed makes it hard to know exactly where it is, but Josephus and Eusebius, the Bible, and maps all point to Mount Sinai in Saudi Arabia. Also, the research of well-known scholars shows that the Red Sea, where Solomon built his fleet, is probably the same Red Sea that the Israelites crossed to get away from the Pharaoh's army. In short, the Israelites crossed the Red Sea in the Gulf of Aqaba, and this position in the Bible points to an Arabian Mount Sinai. Dr. Charles Whitaker says that the holy place where Moses got the 10 Commandments from God, in the book of Exodus, Mount Sinai, is to the east of the Sinai Peninsula in Saudi Arabia. In reality, the professor has moved a very important place in Judaism to the country where Islam began. In a thesis, he said that Jabal al-Lawz, a mountain with a height of 2,580 meters that is in the northwest of Saudi Arabia, fits the story of the divine Mount Sinai better than other places. Dr. Charles Whitaker has used the Bible as an important and reliable source to find out where the mountain is. He says that the fact that there is rock art, structures, and different topographical features in the Jabal al-Lawz area backs up his claim. By looking at the likely routes to and from an Arabian location for Mount Sinai, and taking into account the most archaeologically sound locations of key stopping points and landmarks, one can make plausible routes that are in line with the Bible to Jabal al-Lawz, which is the best candidate for the sacred mountain, says the doctor. Professor Colin Humphreys of Cambridge University. But recently, a professor from Cambridge confirmed that Mount Sinai, which is an active volcano, is in Saudi Arabia and not in the Sinai Peninsula in Egypt. Professor Colin Humphreys of Cambridge University says that science backs up the idea that Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt, which is pretty much how the Bible says it happened. Professor Humphreys says that the holy mountain must have been where Mount Bedr is now, in the northwest of Saudi Arabia. Also, he thinks that God spoke to Moses at the burning bush near Mount Bedr. He seems to think that this was caused by flammable natural gas, or gas from a volcano coming up from the earth. Professor Humphreys said this about his book: "If my book is right, and I think the evidence is very strong, then world maps will have to be changed to put Mount Sinai in a different place. The Bible, history books, and travel guides will all need to be rewritten. I found that the things that happened during the Exodus are even more dramatic than most people think. The ancient Israelites' escape from Egypt is one of the best true stories ever told. So, it's clear from the work of well-known researchers that the real Mount of Moses is in Saudi Arabia. Islam, which is a religion of peace, started in this country. At the same time, the Mount is a scary place for all the Abrahamic religions. If their research is correct, maps will have to be redone and the world's geology and geography will change." That pretty much wraps this video up, guys. Thanks for watching. So, what are your thoughts about this shocking discovery in Saudi Arabia? Share with us in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe to this channel with a bell notification if you enjoy watching our content. We upload some awesome stuff here, which you will most certainly enjoy. Hit a like on this video, leave a comment below. See you guys in the next one.